Hi guys, Tugu here with a new video, and this video is not retail and it is on the primary channel. We're going to give you a preview, at least a class picking guide video for Season of Discovery Phase 2. I've been playing a lot of Season of Discovery, playing a lot of PvP in general. I can only show on this server Horde side, but I'm going to try to search also a server for Alliance side. But we're gonna talk about every single class. We're also going to talk briefly about races, and it's for PvP mostly, but also I'm going to gloss over PvE a bit for the people that do love PvE. But in general, we're going to talk about every single class, a bit in depth, what you can actually expect of these classes in PvP with the new runes, and yeah, hopefully you are in the right. Why this video? Why right now? We did actually ask me what class to play in Season of Discovery, because right now in retail it's a bit slower, I would say. So it's an ideal time to play Phase 2, especially since 1 to 25 it has been sped up to 50% XP increased. And then from 25 to 40, I guess if you have a good guide, like a good add-on guide, you can actually go and gloss over as well, and very fast with all the dungeons and the activity behind those zones, you can find groups to play with. So let's start right away. So let's talk about the Horde races, because here Alliance is unavailable. But Orc is very strong because it has a stun resist. So again, you can resist some stuns in PvP, which is something that is going to be very strong. If you're playing a Hunter, you also have damage increased for pets. You also have more skills towards axes, so it is also going to be interesting to have your hit rate, hit cap for PvE a bit faster, I would say. And also, especially if you have and you are playing with axes, and you can also have like a on hit, not like a buff, I would say, where you're going to do more melee damage. It's mostly melee, if I'm not mistaken. It could be also like AP, but I think I'm mostly affirmative about melee strength. I think it is changed in TBC, but whatever. And it will halve your healing though. So how healing done, like received, will be halved. But there is that. It's a highly recommended PvP race because of the resistance to stuns, and since at level 40, rogues will have kidney and a hammer of justice from paladins, for example. If you can actually resist one of these stuns, you can actually come out victorious, most likely. Undead has a anti-sleep, fear, and charm, which is Will of the Forsaken. You can consume the corpses to regain health. Your underwater breathing has been increased, and resistance to shadow damage, but that's like resistance, which is again a luck-based thing. For Tauren, we have Mace Stomp, stunning nearby opponents, which is the AoE stun from Taurens, the Stomp, which is iconic ability since the end of days. Maximum health hasn't been increased as well. I think it's like a amount that is substantial, but you will not take Torrent for that. Herbalism skill increase is going to be neat if you're playing about with herbalism, and resistant to nature damage, which is quite nice versus druids, which some druids are playing balanced druid right now, which is quite substantially stronger than other specs. So we have Throne, which is pretty much berserk, increasing attack and casting speed. We have regeneration increased as well, so in combat, so you can regen also a bit of health because of that. Also out of combat, damage increased versus beast, which is interesting in PvE, and throwing and bow weapon skills increase, which is not that substantial. For human, you will have pretty much a perception, which is the ability to find stealthies. You also have maces and sword specialization, the same for orcs, for example. And I think reputations are increased as well, so you will be grinding a bit less. Dwarves has like an anti-poison ability, which is quite nice versus rogues because they can blind you, and blind is a poison in classic. You have also, I think, gun specialization, but I'm going to show you once we are with alliance. But let's talk about classes right now. So warrior is very nice at level 40. They have more strike as off right now. If you're level 40, you can have Moral Strike, which is one of the most iconic abilities for Arms Warriors. Arms Warrior is so very in high demand in BGs because, again, having a healing reduction is very strong in BGs because there is no dampening, so you have to have something against those healers, and healers can actually heal for a lot with Season of Discovery. So you would like to have a warrior to actually like diminish that healing done. You also have a lot of abilities that are also iconic with Whirlwind. You have Berserker Stance. You also, since it's Season of Discovery, you can charge in combat, which is also very strong. With Warbringer, you have multiple great things going on for warriors, so I would recommend 100% to play one. If you search a melee, I would say Juggernaut, very slow, because again you can be very much kited, but you can swing for a lot. Now the issues is balancing is not optimized. They will balance the game. I think they will nerf Hunters, they will nerf Balance Druid, they will nerf Shadow Priests, but that will come with time. But I think warriors are probably the ones that are not going to be nerfed. So you're going to play a class that is going for the long haul, which again at level 60 or level 50, which is the next phase, is going to be even better for warriors. So again, highly recommended. You can also play very well in PvE with buffs and such. You can actually have high DPS. And if you want to play a tank, I think Protection Warrior is probably the most popular tank right now in Season of Discovery. Let's talk about Hunters. Hunters is very strong right now. You have Melee Hunter, and you also have the classical Hunter, which is with aim shot and like trying to hit from afar, or you play with as a Beast Mastery Hunter. They got pets nerfed, but they are still effective. But I think Melee Hunters are quite busted. You can like literally 3-shot someone with Rapture Strikes, and you can also reset them with your flanking strikes, because again you have like abilities that are very strong. Dual wield is there as well, so you can strike like Rapture Strike 2 times. Very strong. I think it's very fun as well, so I would highly recommend to play Hunter as well. I think there is a lot of classes that are very fun. I think Hunters, they are like the ideal solo class. You can also do some solo PvP as well. You have Trap Launcher, which is new. If you're playing like more of a classical Hunter, Trap Launcher is like one of the best abilities possible. So you can actually like freezing trap out of combat and also in combat. And you can also throw it from afar, so you can do a scatter shot into a trap launcher, freezing trap, which is effective versus a lot of people. And in general, I think Hunters are fantastic in PvPs. In BGs, you're going to have a great time. In World PvP, you're going to have a great time. In 1v1s, duels are also going to be a very good time. So again, if you want to be very strong and very effective, Hunters are there. So if you want to play in one, be sure to do it. PvE, high demand as well, high damage. You have some competition, but it depends on if you're playing melee hunt or not. If you're playing melee, fortunately, you have like a lot of competition on dual wield weapons, but also two-handers. So again, you will have to use, I guess, a good guild or a good team, so you can also have like maybe soft freezers, so you can actually get your weapons. But in general, you can have some great fun as a hunter. Then you have also rogues, which is the ultimate wall PvP class. You can, of course, if you get like the first hit, generally you will win. Sheep Shot, very strong. Kidney, very strong. You have Shadow Step also, so you will be also very mobile in a game where you don't have a lot of mobility. Shadow Step is very strong. They have multiple great specs. Actually, you can play. I would not recommend to play tank in PvP, but you can play tank, and you can be somewhat effective. I would not play tank because if you're playing versus a warrior, since you're dodging a lot and parrying a lot, you could actually like lose a lot of health, and that's not very effective. But in general, you can play a mutilate build. You can play like fully subtlety, or you can play around like your combat specialization, which is also very strong. In general, you're gonna have a lot of fun. In BGs, you are needed. So being able to defend, being able to overtake the flag carrier, being able to CC is somewhat very strong as well. And again, they can have a trinket, but since trinkets are longer in classic, and in general, you have way more things that are lethal to you. A stun is not always trinketed. And since if you play Horde, you don't have anything that can stop you from stunning. If you're playing Alliance, facing an Orc is very annoying, but you can maybe sometimes play without a stun versus them. Or you try your luck. If you're lucky, you can have a great stun, which often leads to a kill. Shaman is very interesting. Elemental Shaman's kind of two-shot with Flame Shock into a Lava Burst, or like your Elemental Mastery, which is effectively giving you a instant Chain Lightning, for example, or instant Lightning Bolt. You have a lot of great things going on as a Shaman, because you can also play Restoration Shaman, which is also effectively great healing. You're a bit more sturdy because of your shield as well. And Enhancement Shaman is also very fun. Two-handers are still not really that great, because dual build cannot give you your Storm Strikes hitting 2 times, and your Lava Lash is also very strong. You have Maelstrom weapons, which is effectively going to be more effective because you have 2 weapons. But a two-hander is also possible. You can also have a two-hander and do like some big Wind Fury damage. Wind Fury comes from level 30, so again, it's going to be interesting to play around. I didn't see too many enhancement shamans with two-handers, because again, they like one rune that is actually going to give you a lot of power towards shamans. But in general, you have 3 specs that are awesome in world PvP, also awesome in BGs, and just in general, it feels like you have your tools at level 40. It's not like you're missing something from level 50s or 60s. I guess like talent points are going to be crucial, but right now you have your tools and you have your abilities, and you have Wind Fury if you are going to play with that, and it's going to be quite fun as well with dual build with Wind Fury, and being classic Wind Fury, you're going to do a lot of damage as well. And then you have Warlocks. Also Shamans. Elemental Shaman is still not that great in PvE. In PvP, in PvE you're going to play either tank. You can also play tank Shaman, or you're going to play enhancement Shaman, or you're going to play restoration Shaman. Elemental Shaman is very niche. You can still play and find a group, but it's not going to be effectively great DPS. You have Warlock. Personally, I prefer playing Destruction Warlock, because it does a lot of damage, has Chaos Bolts, that is able to crit for upwards 1.7k, which is effectively like near a one-shot. You have Conflag as well at level 40. You have a lot of like tools that are available to you. You're just missing Mortal Coil, which is for the next phase. But once you have that, I think you're going to be like a PvP machine. I think Fear is also a fantastic CC. I think you have options. The only issue with World PvP is if you're dying, it's very annoying to resummon your pets, very annoying with your health stones and such. You have a lot of prep time, but in BGs, you can have a lot of fun. In duels, you're going to be very strong. You can play like a tank spec as well. You can play like more of a dot spec with as an affliction warlock. You have ways to play the game, which is very fun and very satisfying as well. I really do like warlock. I'm going to level 1 actually, because it feels like I miss playing warlock in classic, and I think it's the ideal time to do so, because you have 50% increased XP for warlocks. Now in PvE, tanks warlocks are actually doing well, although they have less parsers. I think it's mainly because you have less warlocks playing. You cannot have more warlocks tanking if you don't have a pool of players that are actually consistently playing tank. But I think warlocks are impressive. They are very fun. In PvE, playing Destruction or Affliction Warlock is going to net you a lot of DPS. You can also play Demonology Warlock, though I have to see if it's going to be very good or not. That is really depending on like your gear, I guess. We'll have to see and revisit for PvE. I know for PvP that you're going to be very like proficient, except like again, if you're dying and you have to resummon all the things, it's very annoying. But you can also always have a lot of fun playing Warlock. Now let's talk about mages first, and then priest. Mage is incredibly fun in Season of Discovery, because you have effectively 3 specs now. It's not like in Classic before, where Arcane was really like something that is going to power your Pyro, but right now Arcane can actually play like a one-shot build. Again, Arcane Surge, it's a long CD, but if you can actually one-shot someone with it, with an Arcane Blast into Arcane Surge, you can effectively a lot of damage. But if you want to play like a safer build, you have Frost Mages, which are really awesome. You have Finger of Frost, you have your brain freeze procs. You have a lot of great things going on. You have Icelands, you have level 40 Frost Mage, which is again Ice Block, Ice Barrier. It's always going to be very nice. So I would highly recommend playing a Frost Mage. I think it's really fun in PvP. In 1v1s you're going to be a god. I think in BGs you're going to have a lot of fun with like disrupting the enemy team. Your damage is never going to be like over the top crazy, but again you compensate with a lot of utility that you have, and also with just being able to be very annoying and very mobile as a spec. And then you have also Fire Mage, which again hot hands can be of hot fingers, hot hands, like the things that is going to give you after 2 crits a instant pyro, which is again that's a reason why people play Pump Pyro, right? With Arcane, you wanted like the instant pyro. Now you could actually have that at all times. The issue is you will need a crit, and you will need to crit a lot. But I think you have multiple things that are actually there to help you to have that. So I think Mage is also a great option if you want to have fun in Season of Discovery. And then Priest, also PvE, I think they're doing fantastic damage because you're like unscarfed, and you have also a heal Mage spec, which is also effective. I always forget to talk about it, but if you want to play like a healer and you want to play mage and you want to play again, have the option to also be able to DPS and also heal as well, I think that's also a great option if you want to play one. It's also effective in PvE, and to be honest, it's always in high demand. Pages are always there to be able to have utility, the damage, the healing if you're playing healer, or you can also have a lot of great consumes. For example, the drinks that you can also make. If you have one in your group, it's always nice to be able to continue with progress. And then you have Priest, which in PvP is actually insane. People are sleeping on Shadow Priest. Dispersion is very strong on a low CD. You have Shadow Word, like you have Mind Blast with Shadow Word Death. That combination is very strong. You don't have to play with Mind Spike to have the biggest amount of damage on Mind Blast. But if you have Mind Spike and you like prep that damage, your Mind Blast is going to be insane damage wise. I think again it's king of PvP. Like in general, 1v1s you're going to have a great time. I think in BGs you can also have a lot of great times. Getting is not like as much of an issue at level 40 because you get like Shadow Form, which is also buffed to consume less mana. Just in general, you're going to have a great time. In PvE, Shadow is also better than before. So again, I think if you want a PvE, you want a DPS, and you want to play Priest, it's highly likely you're going to find a group as a Shadow Priest. Disc Priest, very interesting as well. Again, Penance is very fun. I think giving you those tools, also like you have great utility, but also great defenses. Dispersion being there is awesome, especially as a healer. It's very hard to kill like a priest. You actually need 2 guys or 3 guys to down one. But in PvP again, you're very high in demand. Like you will always have a group playing a priest. Now I don't know, I missed the druids. Let's talk about druids. That is my main right now in Season of Discovery. I do play a lot of druids, and I can talk a lot about it. In current form, they're going to get nerfed very soon for Star Surge. They're going to probably get nerfed for a lot of stuff. Balance Druid is very awesome. Like they do a lot of damage. Wrath is doing damage. Starfire is doing damage. Star Surge is doing damage. You have CC with like your bash. You have ways to heal yourself as well because your heals are also very effective in Classic. Overall, I think it's not anymore the master of none, jack of all trades kind of thing. And now you can really specialize your damage into something that is like a mini nuke kind of. And you can also play Resto Druid, a real one, which is healing, which is awesome. Before in Classic, without Season of Discovery, Resto Druids were kind of a PvE spec, which is basically taken for the buffs, not really for the healing, because again, the HOTS can always knock some buffs out. But right now they did a lot of changes towards that. Now you can have like even 3 Resto Druids healing, and they will keep all their HOTS on the target, so you can actually stack them. I think it's also one of the more fun specs to play in PvP as a healer. Having stealth is huge in PGs as well, so you don't get like focus from the get-go. I think they miss like some CC again. They don't have Cyclone in Classic. They might have that at level 60, maybe with runes, but they don't have that in classic. And for example, disc priest, they can always fear, and that's very powerful to get some people out of your way. And as a druid right now, like bash is the only thing right now. Again, we can also talk about feral druids. I play feral druid most likely right now as well. I'm going to do that in the future as well. It does a lot of damage. Mangle is so fun because you can actually get your rake and your rip to do huge damage, which normally in classic you don't really want to rake too much. But since you have mangle, since you have also your self buffs, you can do a lot of damage with rake and rip. You can actually bleed people out, and you can do very well versus warriors. You can bleed them, run away, go back, bleed them, run away, and you can win those matches. You can always try to go like brute force, but the problem with brute force is you're very squishy as a feral druid. So if you go cat form and you get like stunned or you get like caught, you can pretty much die from 100 to 0. But you have bear form as well, which is very effective at lower levels as well, and you can win matches and games and also just 1v1s reliably as a druid. I personally love playing druid because it gives you a lot of play styles, and if you're like me, a alcoholic, you really want to be able to play multiple facets in the game with just one class. But again, sometimes you want the itch for a hunter or you want an itch for a shaman or whatever, then obviously you have to re-roll. But as a druid, it's more likely you're going to stick to your druid because you have multiple facets that are also very awesome to play and to explore as a balance druid, for example, or a feral druid or a resto druid. Now in PvE, what I know is garden druids are not like garden druids. I mean tank druids, so bear form druids are not that good because they don't have a lot of rage regen, and it's very hard to keep aggro. That's just a fact. You also see on the parsers you have way less bear form druids, like bear druids pretty much, and they all play feral, or they all play balance druid, or they all play resto druid. So for now, just wait for a balance change if you really want to tank. But that's it. And PvE, again, feral druids high demand because they have wind fury. Now you have shamans as well, but as an alliance you will always have and need a feral druid in your groups because you don't have a shaman, for example. Balance druid are somewhat in demand in like Casticles because you have 3% crit, and now since balance druid has damage and they don't get very quickly, it's now not really a DPS loss to get one in your group. So again, also in high demand. Resto druid is somewhat less of a high demand because disc priest is so much stronger. But you can find a group for yourself and you can also have fun with it. Now let's talk about balance druid. If I can find a server that lets me show you balance druid, I think Lavalash can give me that. So Paladin, I mean, so Paladin is interesting. I personally don't play that, but I did talk with a lot of people. People love playing Paladin. You have judgments like a 40 yards judgment now as a rune, which is very fun. You have Retribution Paladin, which is very fun because of the CC that it provides. In 1v1s, you're going to be incredibly strong. I think you can also play like a wreck bomb Retribution Paladin. It's still there. So if you want to play that, you can always do that. You now have a really interactive kit with Divine Storm, Crusader Strike. You can also have Rebuke if you want to play that. Again, you can also play with Shield of Vengeance, not Shield of Vengeance, but the shield that you can throw to get like a daze. That's actually very strong as well. If you just need a shield and you can just like weapon swap. You also have Art of War now as well. So if you play with Exorcism instead of Rebuke, I guess, you can actually have a lot of Exorcism procs, and you can actually do back-to-backs if you are very lucky, which can just destroy someone. I found Retribution Paladins whenever I'm facing one, because I'm playing Horde right now, very annoying to deal with. They do incredible damage, and if you get hodged at the wrong time, you generally just die. They also have Divine Shield, I think at level like above 30 if I'm not mistaken. I think 32, something like that. And it's very, very effective as well. So I highly recommend to play Retribution Paladin if you want to play like a Wrath of the Lich King Paladin, but in advance, right? You can also play Holy Paladin. Does a lot of great healing. And you can also play like of a Shokadin kind of thing, because there is some builds where you can play more of a Shokadin build. That's also very fun, although again with the HP pools being increased and depending on your gear, it may not be as strong as in TBC, for example. But if you really want to do that, you can still do that. It really depends on your gear and your motivation to get your Holy Paladin started. Tankadin, again, Protection Paladin is also very strong. In PvE, it's also incredibly strong. I think, personally, I really like Protection Paladin. If I was playing Paladin, if I was playing Alliance, I would probably tank as a Protection Paladin in raids and in dungeons because it feels very intuitive and very fun to play. But again, it really depends on your preferences. PvP, again, I think you have a lot of potential, so you can also play that if you want to. Now let's talk about the races at the end, because again, I talked about the classes. The races, I talked about Horde, and I talked about Human and Dwarf. Also Stormform, again, like I said, very strong. Treasure finding is very useful now in Classic Seasonal Discovery, because in those chests you can also get some good waylaid supplies, which can give you a bit of rep that is needed probably for also the next phases. Then you have Night Elf, which can give you a Shadow Melt, which is not as strong in Classic because it is not able to be used in PvP, like in combat, so I would not rely on that. But if you like defending in a flag room or whatever, having a Shadow Melt is always going to be quite nice as well. And if you die a lot, you get Wisp Form, which is going to be effectively a movement speed buff, which is going to be very helpful to get to your corpse. Dodge chance is really like very minimal, so it's not going to be that impactful. And I think the best PvP race that you can play is Gnome. I don't really like to play Gnome, but may escape from speed altering effects, which is at all times, it's not even may. It's just an ability that you're going to press and you're going to liberate yourself from roots, for example, or slows. And it's actually very strong if you're playing like a warrior or rogue. It helps to be able to go faster on your target. Again, highly recommend if you really want to PvP, and that's it. Gnome is the best. Increased intelligence, which is quite nice for mages and warlocks. A resistance to arcane damage, which now is a bit more effective because arcane is something in Classic. And engineering skill increase is also going to be quite useful in PvP as well. So there is that. I talked about every class, every race. I would recommend, if you're just starting out at Classic and you played retail and you just want to have fun in Season of Discovery ASAP, so just pick a class and have fun directly, I would recommend Hunter, because I think it's the best solo class that you can play right now. If you can make friends or whatever, maybe you can play something else, but I would highly recommend to play Hunter because I think it's very fun, it's instant, and you can always have a lot of fun playing one. But anyways, thank you for watching this video, really appreciate you. Again, it just is not a retail video. I wanted to post that also on the main channel. Why? Because I feel like I can reach more people that ask those questions to me. So hopefully it can gain some traction and we can maybe make more seasonal discovery videos on this channel. I still have my second channel for that. I still don't know what I do with the second channel. It's a bit more of a F around, find out kind of thing. But we'll have to see and be effective on the content creation thing. Again, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.